Hey, what's up, guys? My name is David, and welcome to day 30 of my 90 days journey to create $5,000 in monthly passive income. Today, I share the result of the remaining contractors who went to check out the house that I'm purchasing, the latest status on my current Airbnb, and finally, my takeaway from the book, So Good That They Can't Ignore You. Let's dive right in. For starters, today I had two contractors go out to the house that I'm buying, a stonemason, to check out the exterior of the house to let me know what repairs are needed, and also the chimney sweeper. This is a professional chimney person who will look at the chimney from the roof as well as the fireplace and give me an assessment on what are all the things that need to be done if you want to either preserve the chimney or use the fireplace. This is one of the largest expenses I anticipate for this house because it has a very big chimney and there might be quite a bit of work involved in order to get this into working condition. I'm still waiting for a quote from the chimney sweeper, but my real estate agent who met with him told me that the house is in the chimney is in decent condition, and he suggested sealing off the fireplace. I was a little disappointed because I actually expected him to say, "We can we can fix up the fireplace with a little more work," and I'm curious what that price would be. If it's under $10,000, I think it's definitely worthwhile. But I'll probably hear from him tomorrow, and then I will find out. As for the stonemason, the price came back a little more than I was anticipating. This is a stone house that was built in the 1930s, and obviously with anything made that has mortar joints, it developed cracks over time as the foundation shifts. And there were many cracks all around the house. He told me that he would need to grind out all of the broken mortar, the ones with cracks, and refill them back up. And just a rough estimate, it would be at least 2 grand. And depending on the amount of detail, um, um, like how many cracks to fill, or if we're filling everything, even the tiniest cracks, it could go up even more. And I'm thinking that I might even do some research on how to do this work myself. If it's just time and labor intensive, I don't mind learning something new. Which leads me to the last thing I want to share, which is the book I read called So Good That They Can't Ignore You. I've had this book in my library for maybe 2 years, but because of recent events, I decided to pick it back up. I didn't remember anything from the book except the title, and so I decided to give it another read. It was quite enlightening. The first part of the book I already agree with, and that is don't focus on your passion, but instead fall in love with what you do. The danger of doing what you're passionate about is your passion could be collecting collecting uh, reptile. Bad example. Your passion could be um, history major, but it's very hard to make a living with a history major or an economic major. Instead, if you have something that you're already doing and you become extremely good at it to the point that they can't ignore you, then you have no problem making a living. And many people have gone on the journey of doing something they're passionate about with no skill to really back it up. and they end up being on food stamps or living on the streets. In a way, making making these videos is my passion. I'm I'm still gradually getting better at it, but I do not quit my job to make these videos full time, or I do not bet the farm on the side venture that I'm pursuing. But I do believe that over time I will become better, and this will become a sustainable source of income. Another idea I loved from the book is that before you pursue a goal, you need capital. And by capital, it's not talking about money, it's talking about your skill, how good you are at this given task. Most people don't start out with uh, much capital because we're all beginners when we do something we haven't done. But capital can be developed, and it often takes several years just to get to the point where you're on the same level as the best people in the field. I say that's definitely true from my experience. And the reason that most people don't become so good is because they reach a point where they're satisfied, and then they stop growing. Maybe because they get offered a high salary job and that's good enough, and they stop climbing to the higher rungs of the ladder. Or they feel like they're already putting in enough work and they don't want to exert more pain to reach higher. But whatever the reason, most people stop once they get to a certain level of proficiency. But to become a true craftsman, which is the next idea in this book, you have to focus on asking what value can I bring instead of what can or what's in it for me. If you're constantly focused on serving others and giving value, then you'll naturally progress and get better. Because in order to continue adding value to others, you just by law, you have to improve. If I want to continue helping my church or my community, and I'm giving 10% or more of my income, and I want to make a greater difference, I need to make more money in order to make a bigger contribution. And I think that part is pretty fair. But there's also a paradox to becoming good, because once you are become very skilled, people can't ignore you anymore, and you have much more control over your career, over your every part of your life. And companies will want you to work for them, sign a contract, and devote all of your time on making them money or helping them become successful. But that may not be what you want. You want to keep going and keep pursuing the things that make you happy, and while continuing to get better and have more success and your according to your standards. And if you say yes um, to a very good offer, that may be perfectly okay. But the risk is you stop your growth. Um, on the other hand, if you reject the fantastic job offer, you have the opportunity to continue developing uh, at your speed, and in the end, no one will be able to match you. It's not just about being good at something, but really become someone so good that and no, they cannot ignore you. And with that, that's the that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for supporting my channel and posting comments. If you like anything that I mentioned, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to follow me on my journey. I love you guys. Peace.